Hey guys, welcome back to Detective D, The Silk Rose Murders. In the last episode we started chapter 1 of this game, although we have played the prologue, but the prologue doesn't really count. This is the real first chapter, and we had a bad dream, which we overcame. And also, we met the Empress, which you can see here on the right side. Well, we have already talked to her, and she gave us a case. And we are going to investigate that. So without further ado, let's get going. But of course, we are going to snoop around first, because we can. So let's have a look at her. I've heard so much about her, but what to believe? What hides beneath that icy facade? That's a good question. We will have to see though. I am just curious, can we still talk to her if we want to? Right, yeah, okay, we had that already, so nothing more to talk to her about. And the D meter here. Reinvestigate Xu Lin Fei's murder. Collect evidence to fill out the deduction board. Okay, we will do so. And to do so, we will have to go to the left. But also, we will have to talk to her commander, which is Yao Mei. We'll have a look at her first. At once beautiful and intimidating, she has an air of confidence that is undeniable. Oh, we already had a look at her, I think. Let's talk to her then. I didn't get a chance to introduce myself before. My name is Di Renjie. I know who you are. Yes, of course, you must be head of Her Majesty's security force. I am no mere security personnel. I am Yao Mei, commander of the Imperial Guard. I meant no offense. I assure you, I meant no offense. I see it in your posture. You carry yourself with the poise of a highly skilled martial artist. I dabbled in the martial arts myself when I was young, though I discovered early that I had no gift for it. But you, on the other hand, must be a very talented and brave warrior. Why else would the Empress put you in charge of her personal safety? I suggest you tread carefully, dear Renjie. Her Majesty wishes to give you an opportunity to show your allegiance, but I am the one you will have to face if that trust is betrayed. I applaud your diligence, Commander Yao, but my intentions are pure. I'll be the judge of that. What do you want? Tell me about yourself. I have no time for small talk. If you wish to know more about me, I suggest you seek out the answers for yourself, Detective. What can you tell me about the Empress? Her Majesty is a strong and fearless leader. What she has endured and overcome is a shining example for all of us. But I would think of a detective of your stature could easily detect such qualities. Do you know anything about the Xu Lin Fei case? Only that the man who did it deserves to die 1,000 deaths. The man? You believe the father is guilty? No, that is not what I said. I simply meant that I've never known a woman capable of such brutality. Have you? No, I can't say that I have. Listen carefully, dear Renjie. I do not trust you. I have no reason to trust you. I do not know you, and from my perspective, nor does the Empress. What you do from this moment forward will signal to me whether you truly are a trustworthy ally or an adversary to be dealt with. Your fierce loyalty is commendable, Commander Yao. With time, I do hope I can gain your trust. Well, that is pretty much all we can do here, it seems. So let's leave for the time being. We will have to go to the Justice Department first, because we don't have any other means to go to. Alright, so we checked that out already. Is there something here? We could go to the lobby. We can also just go back to our chambers, right? Yes, we can, but there's nothing that we can actually do here. So there's no need to. So let us go to the lobby. And there was someone that we were supposed to talk to, if I remember correctly. Alright, so let's have a look at the lobby.
Magistrate D, you're back. I'm your first lieutenant, Ma Da Wei. We spoke briefly last night when you arrived. I take it you just returned from your visit with the Empress. How did it go? Meetings like that make me so nervous. I just start babbling, you know. One moment I'm all quiet and the next I'm going on and on about heaven knows what. I'm doing it right now, aren't I? I shut up now, sir.
You don't have to be nervous around me, Ma. Oh, we're gonna go with the first one. I was indeed a bit nervous in Her Majesty's presence, but the meeting was productive. It seems we have a lot of work ahead of us.
Certainly, sir. I'm here to help in any way I can.
Good, let's begin with the Xu Lin Fei case. I need to know all the details and see the evidence collected so far.
Oh, yes, of course. I was hoping we could get another crack at that case, but I'm afraid there is much to look at, sir. Everything we have is inside that evidence box. I've laid it out on the desk behind me. It's a shame, really, but Magistrate Liu, he wasn't one for paperwork.
Liu? You mean Liu Zeilin? He was the previous magistrate?
That's right, sir. You know him.
Yes, he was a classmate during my time at the Imperial Academy. Sadly, he was the kind of person who enjoyed preying on the less privileged, a bully through and through. But owing to his father's position a powerful minister, Zillin's misconduct was routinely ignored. Worse still, he was even granted a few shortcuts along the way. But that was many years ago. I haven't seen him since then.
I hate to speak out of turn, but I feel I must. You see, I believe Magistrate Liu was wrong to accuse the victim's father. I believe Zhu Dan is innocent.
You needn't worry about speaking your mind. Why do you think he is innocent?
Well, it's the way she was killed. It almost seems wicked, like an evil soul out for blood. Even from my limited contact with him, I just don't think Zhu Dan is capable of that.
In that case, you'll be relieved to hear that the Empress herself has requested that we reopen the investigation.
Really? That's great news, sir. Say the word and I'm at your disposal, whatever you need.
Tell me about yourself, Lieutenant Ma.
Everyone calls me Lucky Ma around here, sir. The nickname stuck after I won a few card games with the fellows around the office. In any case, I've been at the station for 2 years now. Before that, I was a police constable in my hometown of Shanwei, in Liangnan province. For most of my life, I lived in a small fishing village, so when my transfer request was approved and I was promoted to work here in the capital, it was a dream come true.
Your family must have been proud.
Yes, my parents were very happy, and my wife, you should have seen her, sir. When I told her we would be living in Chang'an, she nearly shattered my eardrums from sheer excitement.
Tell me more about the crime.
Of course, what would you like to know?
The victim, Zhu Lin Fei, what can you tell me about her?
We know that she was 21 years old, but not much else. She was a complete loner, had no ties to anyone or anything except her father. Even the neighbors knew nothing about her, save for the fact that she kept to herself.
Did her father have anything to add?
He maintains that since her return 2 months ago, she's been a sole caregiver, spending most of her days at home. He also said that several times a week, she would visit temples here in the city. That gave me the idea to visit a few of them to ask about her. But the monks who remembered her all said the same thing. She would pray for hours at a time, often mumbling words that no one else could hear or understand.
You said she returned 2 months ago. Where was she before that?
All we know is that for 5 years she worked as a maidservant for a wealthy family living outside of the city. During that time, she sent money back to her father through a messenger, but she never visited him herself. We are holding him in the lockup if you would like to interrogate him.
What can you tell me about the victim's father, Zhu Dan?
Zhu Dan served in the Imperial Army for many years until his wife died in a fire. That same incident cost him his eyesight, but despite that, he managed to take care of his younger daughter for many years. But as he grew older and weaker, he became the one who needed care.
Why did Liu accuse him?
Magistrate Liu believed that Zhu Dan felt betrayed when his daughter went away. He alleged that Zhu Dan had gone mad and killed her in a fit of rage.
Did Zhu Dan confess?
No, sir, the very opposite in fact. He strongly denies any wrongdoing.
What was the cause of death?
Strangulation, sir, but she was also mutilated posthumously. The killer cut her open and took her heart. It turns my stomach just thinking about it. You'll want to speak to the coroner, Mr. Yao. You'll be able to tell you more about it.
What's in the evidence box?
We collected 3 pieces of evidence from the crime scene. The first is a broken walking stick which belongs to the father. The second is a rose we found next to the victim's body, clearly left by the killer by the looks of it. And the third is a life-size sketch I made of a bloody footprint we found inside the house.
A sketch?
Yes, sir. I've always had an affinity for drawing, so I've tried to put it to good use from time to time. My wife even thinks I could have made a life as a painter, though I'm pretty sure she's just teasing.
Who reported the crime?
A night watchman was making his rounds in the neighborhood when he saw Zhu Dan running out of his house in a mad panic. Zhu Dan was calling out for help and screaming his daughter's name all at once. After the watchman peered into the house and saw the carnage that had been done, he came directly here to report the crime.
About Liu Zeilin. I gather you must have worked for Liu Zeilin for a period. What can you tell me about him?
I suppose...
No need to be timid, Lieutenant. It is not gossip I am after. I'm only interested in how he performed his duties as an officer of the court.
Well, to put it bluntly, Magistrate Liu did not seem to care much about his duties at all, sir. He seemed more interested in his reputation than maintaining law and order. Most of the time, he delegated his work to his subordinates, although I doubt he even knew any of us by name.
I shudder to think of the misery he's left in his wake. Hopefully, if Zhu Dan is innocent, we can at least right one of his wrongs.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about the Justice Department.
Of course, sir. This Justice Department is the beating heart of all law and order in Chang'an. Since the Empress' enthronement, we have officers patrolling the city at all times, even the night watchmen report to us. This compound itself serves many purposes, but the East Wing, where we currently are, is home to the investigative branch. Directly behind you is the way towards the lockup, and behind me is the hallway that leads to the morgue. Oh, I almost forgot. I hope you found your private quarters to your liking. I asked my wife to help me make it as cozy as possible for you. I'm terrible at that kind of thing.
Indeed, the room is quite lovely. Please say thank you to your wife for me.
I've marked the victim's house on your map, but you'll probably want to speak to Zhu Dan and Corona Yao before you head out there.
I think I have what I need for now. Thank you, Lieutenant.
I'm at your disposal, sir.
Alright, okay, so we learned a lot. Hope I can manage to keep that all in mind. So there's the evidence box, huh? We'll have a look at that for sure. Lieutenant Ma said that 3 items were collected at the crime scene. Let's have a look. Indeed. Rose added to inventory, broken walking stick added to inventory, and footprint sketch added to inventory. We're gonna have a look at those immediately. Impressive, Lieutenant Ma's wife was right, he does have an eye for illustration. His footprint is fairly average in size for a man, but probably a bit large for a woman. Have a look at this. It's a broken walking stick, someone snapped it in half. And the rose, of course. Strange, this rose should be wilting by now, yet its vibrant color and soft petals defy its age. If this didn't belong to Zhu Lingfei, then the killer purposefully left it behind. Okay, let's have a look at the weapons here. I wish I could say I've mastered the martial arts, but alas, my rudimentary skills are barely serviceable. No, not my weapon of choice. We could go to the morgue. Let's have a look at the officer here. He seems hard at work. I shouldn't disturb him. Okay, if that is the case, is there anything else here in this room that is of interest for us? To the lockup. So we could talk to the father, or we could talk to the coroner. And I think the coroner is our first choice. So we're gonna go to the morgue. And here we are. Alright, so let's have a look around first. Medical chisel. Don't even know what that is. Some sort of medical chisel. I'd rather not guess how this is used. Can we take it?
I can hear you snooping around back there.
This is no time to play games. You can't just pick up whatever is near to the ground. I'm still doing my inventory. Unless you have a good reason to take that chisel, leave it alone.
Okay, so we can't pick it up yet, but we will be able to soon, it seems. Unused at the moment, thankfully. Okay, so this is where the bodies are stretched on, so the coroner can do his work. Okay, nothing else of interest. Let's have a look at the tools. Assorted tools of the pathologist's trade. Alright. Okay, let's have a look at the coroner then. He must be the coroner. From the looks of it, he has years of experience behind him. Okay, let's talk then. Excuse me?
Blast these tiny tools! I lost count again!
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I've been trying to do an inventory of the equipment down here all morning and I've been failing miserably at it. Why in the world do we have so many knives?
You must be the coroner. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Rangier.
Ah, our new chief investigator. Just a young man, aren't you? I suppose if that idiot Liu could do the job, they could just about send any half-wit to run this place and nobody would notice the difference.
I can see you're nobody's fool, but should you give me the opportunity, I may yet surprise you.
You have a little spark in you, don't you? And you have earnest eyes, the look of a man with purpose. I suppose 30 years of staring in the dead has taught me that much.
Then I look forward to learning from your experience.
Well then, welcome to my office, Magistrate D. I'm Yao Quinan. Quinan, something like that, sorry guys. The youngsters like to call me Old Yao. Stupid kids and their nicknames.
I was hoping I could speak to you about the Zhu Linfei case.
That poor girl. She's been moved for burial, so you won't find her here. But in all my years doing this job, I never saw anything like it.
I've been instructed to reopen the investigation. May I ask you a few questions?
Well, you're the boss, aren't you? Ask away.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Yao.
I wish there was something to tell. I'm afraid my life isn't much more interesting than that of the patients I examine. But I suppose that's my own fault. Push away your loved ones long enough and you end up bitter and alone. Or in my case, withering away in the company of decomposing corpses.
Surely a lifetime in service to the imperial court must bring you some satisfaction.
It's precisely because of my choice to put duty above family that my grown daughter now wants nothing to do with me. When her mother passed away a few years ago, I buried myself in my work thinking I could stuff my sorrows into the ground. I neglected the needs of my grieving daughter, and now, even as she makes her own path in the world, she can barely stand the sight of me. Don't make the same mistakes I did, young magistrate. Hold on to those you cherish. Let them know what you meant to you before it is too late.
Let's go with, it's not too late for you. It's not too late for you to make amends. Speak to your daughter, she will listen.
I wish I could be so naive as to believe that, but my time has passed. No matter, at least down here I can perhaps still make a difference.
What can you tell me about the victim's wounds and the cause of death?
The cause of death was asphyxia by strangulation. Deep ligature marks around her neck suggest that the killer stood behind and slightly above her. No murder weapon was found at the scene, but if I were to venture a guess, I'd say the killer likely used a long piece of cloth to strangle her. The victim also had a large laceration on the left side of her chest. Further examination revealed that her heart was surgically removed shortly after she died. Although I wouldn't go as far as saying that this killer possessed the skills of a surgeon, I am certain we are dealing with someone with a cold and steady hand. Someone who knew what they were doing.
Why do you think the killer took her heart?
It's hard to say. Perhaps he wanted a souvenir, or maybe he thought she was heartless and didn't deserve one, or possibly just because he's a deranged psychopath. We may never know why he did it, but based on the depth of the abrasions on her neck, I'd wager good money our killer is a man. I'd wager good money our killer is a man. Sorry guys. Sorry.
Was the killer violated sexually?
No, I found no evidence of sexual assault. In fact, she had no other bruises or injuries at all, which I found odd.
What do you mean by that?
Well, usually in cases of strangulation, we often find some signs of a struggle between the victim and the assailant. Signs such as traces of skin under the fingernails or bruises caused by resistance from the victim. But from what I can tell, Zhu Linfei did not fight back.
Okay, we had that on the prologue already. There was no fighting back. Okay, so maybe she was surprised? Let's talk about Liu Zeilin. From your previous comments, I take it you and Magistrate Liu did not get along?
30 years I've worked at the Justice Department. Magistrates come and go, and I've seen them all. Some were born enforcers, others born negotiators. A rare few had the gift of detection, while others preferred the path of least resistance. Liu Zilin was in a category of his own, a corrupt yet inept man willing to do anything to advance his career. All of us here knew it, but none of us could prove it.
What do you think he was guilty of?
Abuse of power, coercion, blackmail, you name it, but someone more powerful than him finally took notice, and now he's history. We can thank the Empress for that.
Thank you, I'll be on my way.
You know where to find me.
Alright, he is kind of cool, I do like Yao. Although, this is a very strange murder case indeed. Alright, do we still have time to... Okay, we can at least go to the lockup. And before we talk to the father, we can have a look around at least. Torture device. Some believe that torture can help reveal answers, but can this so-called truth be held up to the light of a day?
Who goes there? Is that you, Liu? You'll not break me with your threats or beatings. I will never admit to killing my own daughter. Never, you hear me?
Okay. So he can hear us. He's blind, but blindness often sharpens the ears. That's actually something that is oftentimes true. So we can't use the torture device, which is good because I have... I'd rather not. So that's that then. Although we do have still some time, maybe we can talk to him still. The doubts surrounding his guilt are palpable. I must find out the truth. So let's get started. Let's just talk to him. Calm yourself, Zhudan. I am Magistrate Dirangier.
Dirangier? What happened to Liu?
Mr. Liu Zilin has been relieved of his duties. I am in charge now.
Oh, so they've replaced one crooked official with another.
I am not your enemy, Mr. Zhu. Whatever you may think of my predecessor, I am here to find out the truth about your daughter's murder.
You mean you'll investigate her case?
Yes, Mr. Zhu. And though I do not yet know your involvement in this case, I can promise you this. If you are indeed innocent, you will not sit in this jail a day longer than necessary.
I'm sorry for what I said before, but that man Liu, he accused me of killing my own daughter. Despite everything that's happened in my life, I've never felt anger at my own fate. But what was done to Lin Fei, it burns me up inside, knowing that the man who hurt her is still out there. You have to help me, Magistrate D. My daughter deserves justice.
Tell me about yourself.
I was a patriot once, not unlike you, I imagine. I fought and sacrificed for my country. I gave my youth to protect it while on the battlefield. Now, I'm but a decrepit old man, disposable in the eyes of men like Liu Zilin.
You were in the army?
I was an imperial soldier at the Tiger Regiment, until the accident changed everything.
Tell me what happened.
For the first time in a long time, I was home. They gave me a short break between tours of duty, and I was glad to be back with my wife and daughter. That morning, I had taken Lin Fei for a walk in the park. She was only 5 years old. The sky was blue and pure. I remember looking up on the heavens, thankful and content. Out of nowhere, blankness billowed into the air. I do not know how the fire started. All I know is that by the time we had made our way back, the flames had already engulfed the entire house. But I was fearless back then. I ran inside, hoping to save my wife. But the gods were angry that day. They spared my life, but took my wife and my eyes. Now, I look upon the sky no longer.
And your daughter? She witnessed this?
We've never spoken about that day. Deep down, I've always hoped that she was too young to remember. But sometimes, I could hear it in her voice, the horror of the flames and the ashes.
Tell me about your daughter.
After her mother died, I tried my best to take care of her. We managed for a while. The Imperial Army kept me around, gave me out jobs here and there, but eventually they decided they had no use for a blind soldier anymore. But even as a teenager, Lin Fei was headstrong and rebellious. She stormed into the Imperial Army base demanding an explanation for my discharge. I had to plead with my superiors to spare her any punishment. I told her we needed to accept our fate, but in that moment, I could feel something in her change.
How did you carry on?
For a year we scrambled to get by. those were difficult times. Then one day she came home with some money, said it was an advance from a family she had met. She said they offered her a job as a maidservant and wanted her to move into their house in the cold countryside. She was only 16. I didn't want her to go, but she had made up her mind.
Do you know who she worked for?
No, she didn't say. She said they were very rich and didn't want people to know where they lived. Every month she would have someone deliver some money to me. It went on like that for almost 5 years.
And then she came back?
Yes, almost 2 months ago now. I remember it well because everyone was talking about Concert Wu's rise to the throne. But all I could think about was my daughter's return. She gave me no warning or explanation, but I didn't care. I was just happy to have her back.
You said she changed after you lost your military post. How so?
She was always a strong and confident girl. Even during quieter moments I could sense her calming presence. But then she became distant. Her silence had a different sound to it, if you know what I mean. She was no longer at peace.
5 years is a long time. Did she seem different after her return?
You have to understand, Magistrate. She was away for almost 5 years. But to answer your question, yes, she was different. She was even stronger than I ever thought possible.
Did she have any friends?
No, Linfei always preferred to be alone. I think what happened to her mother, she chose the safety of her loneliness over the prospect of loss and pain.
Take me back to the night of the murder. What can you remember?
I remember perfectly well. Earlier that evening I had decided to go to the waterfront to take some tea on the boardwalk. It's usually quiet at dusk, so I stay to enjoy the sunset. People ask me how a blind man can appreciate such a thing. I tell them it's the heat. I can feel the sun's embrace slowly shift on my skin. Once the warmth is gone, I know it is time to leave. But something strange happened that day. I reached out for my walking stick, which I had placed on the table in front of me, but it wasn't there. I searched for it, even asked the treehouse staff for help, but it was gone.
You're certain you had it with you?
Of course, without it I'd lose my way. I had to continue on the waiters to escort me home, a nice young man with a kind voice. He said he could help me, but only after he finished his shift. So I waited. About an hour later he came back and did as he promised.
So the waiter took you home. Did he go inside the house?
No, we parted ways outside. I entered the house alone. But the silence inside bothered me immediately. As I approached the middle of the room, I could feel the wet surface under my feet. I was standing in my daughter's blood. I fell to my knees and extended my arms, reaching out to her. My heart sank when I felt her cold body. I cradled her head in my arms. I vaguely remember calling out for help. I don't know. The rest is hazy.
Your daughter's murder was senseless and deeply unsettling. Heaven willing, justice will be done.
You have a kind voice, Magistrate D. Much like the young man who helped me get home that evening. Like him, I hope you will keep your word.
That's all for now. We'll speak again soon.
Thank you, Magistrate D.
Alright guys, I'm really sorry, but we have reached the end of the episode mark. If you want to know how things are going to go down further, you'll have to tune in next time for Detective D, The Silk Rose Murders. See you then.